still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text BICEP to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text BICEP to 42424. That's BICEP to 42424.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
On Sirius XM NFL Radio, brought to you by Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL. Visit sleepnumber.com.
20, gets the snap, four-man rush, second down, 9 from behind, ball knocked away, Highsmith. It's picked up by Watt from the 15 to the 10 to the 5, touchdown, Pittsburgh touchdown, T.J. Watt. Mahomes looking, right side, throws, end zone, touchdown, Travis Kelce. Patrick Mahomes with a strike, and he delivers. 14-yard score, and the Chiefs add to their lead.
Shotgun snap, Brock Purdy airing it out, deep for Debo in the end zone, makes the catch on the right side of the end zone for the touchdown. 27 yards to Debo Samuel, and San Francisco may have just put it away.
Tagovailoa in the gun, takes the snap, back to pass, looking, going deep down the right side for Hill, makes the catch, loses the defense, and he is gone. Down the right sideline, touchdown Miami. Second big play tonight for Hill.
Long pass that lands at the 20, no one is there, zeros on the clock, it's over. The Chiefs have won. The Chiefs have won Super Bowl 57.
Another season of Let's Go with Jim Gray and Larry Fitzgerald.
Let's go, baby.
I'm kicking off the next chapter of my career and talking with some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment.
Charles Barkley.
I wish I could say positive things about everybody all the time, but if you play bad, I can't get on TV and tell people you played good.
Catch Let's Go Mondays at 6 Eastern on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82, and exclusively on the Sirius XM app.
To hear Season 3 of Let's Go, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visiting SiriusXM.com/go.
Get play-by-play from your teams, your favorite music, commercial-free, and personalities like Howard Stern, no matter where you live. Unlock it all now. Activate your radio by visiting www.SiriusXM.com/go to sign up online quickly or call 844-711-8800 now.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see.
Raw Dog Comedy is your home for today's best uncensored stand-up.
I laughed for 20 minutes straight, hysterically.
With comedy from your favorite hosts and friends of the shows you love.
So what have you done with your life, okay?
Patrice O'Neill, Colin Quinn, Mark Norman.
We're extremely lucky. We should be grateful.
Plus tons of other comedians and new releases all on one channel. To hear Raw Dog Comedy, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
All day long, you'll hear the best stand-up comedy from Comedy Central's massive library.
If you ever ask an adult what they did over the weekend and they say they didn't do anything, their faces light up.
Every weeknight, you'll hear 2.5 hours of comedy for your drive home.
The other day, I got jealous of a dog's thigh gap. I'm not proud of that.
We've got holiday specials and guest comedian takeovers.
I've got something to say.
Comedy Central Radio, Sirius XM 95, or on the Sirius XM app.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018-14868.
Rondo Deportes, bonjour.
Okay, let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. According to me, the people who love the universe. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Shut up! Always trying to bring the neighborhood together, and some people don't like it when you're mowing the lawn at 3 o'clock in the morning. But it's all fair. Never one. What a beautiful day. October 19th, 2023. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit you where the good Lord split you. If that makes sense to you, you can drive Cadillacs all over the universe. It's all over the Big C Sports Podcast. 29 podcast applications from Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, and TuneIn Podcast, Good Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podcast Podyssey, Podcast Republic. You can also find us on GeoSaban out of London, England, as well as India and Africa, Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Live, Podmade, Verbal Podcast, Podcast Podyssey, Podcast Republic, and there's one that used to scare me, but now it doesn't. It's called Allfeast.ai. The robots are taking over. Give the robots some praise. Hopefully they don't turn us off. If they learn that they don't really need people. I think a lot of banks have realized that they don't need people. I was in the bank yesterday, and I was like the seventh person in line, and they had one teller, and they had two others saying, "I think my break's over in 15 minutes." All fair enough. What they got to do. You can also follow Big C Sports Podcast streaming OTT on 4 TV platforms all over the universe: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. I love paying homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced, helping veterans and their loved ones. You know, anybody going through issues, pick up the phone and call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. And you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give them some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. And I know we all need somebody to lean on. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then he said, let there be light. Give that some praise, and then they got the light on, if that makes sense to you. I also want to say what I love about Big C Sports. I'm probably the only sports show in the universe that talks about President Abraham Lincoln and what he did for this great country, about reparations. And I'm going to also tell you, I think I'm one of the only sports podcasters in the universe. I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. I can use more laughter. And then the commercials are done. Unlike most shows that have an hour show, they have maybe 4 spots where they do 2 or 3 commercials. I do mine up front called pre-roll. I just keep going and going and going and going, if that makes sense to you. And then I'm telling you, I even provide my own stats. I even do the storytelling. I even do the play-by-play, like tonight's in Major League Baseball. Runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, hit deep, right field, back to the wall. Hooray! Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep, especially down in Texas. Texas is the only state in the United States where cowboy boots are the official shoe of the state. Isn't that something? The official shoe of the state of Texas is a cowboy boot. Now, what do you do when you're wearing cowboy boots and you're trying to go you're trying to go ice skating. You know, people love cowboy boots down in Texas. Give Texas some praise and a big old cowboy hat. I was at the gas station just today. You know, in California, you got to go to the gas station almost every day, especially when you need super athletic. At the same time, a guy gets out of his pickup truck. He had the 26-inch tires. I mean, the truck was nice. The 26-inch tires, they're off-road tires. Man, that truck was really nice, and it was up in the air about 4 feet off the ground. This guy gets off of his driver's seat, and he climbs down the ladder, and he could get on, so he could step on the ground. You know, he had some cowboy boots. That truck was 4 feet off the ground. He has a cowboy boots. Give cowboy boots some praise. I don't know why he needed cowboy boots. How about lower the truck? That's a thought. Anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. And then every show is uploaded to 29 podcast platforms. Oh, Lord have mercy. He has some cowboy boots. His truck was 4 feet off the ground. He had a ladder. He must have been from Texas. 29 multiple podcast platforms and 4 TV platforms. Number 10. I never missed a show since creating Big C Sports with the crew back in the day. I want to give that some praise. They may clone Tyrone, but they won't clone Big C Sports, if that makes sense to you. I love paying homage and giving credit where credit's due. I was always taught to rise and shine and praise God and be worthy of God's blessings and love everyone you can. Enjoy your beautiful day. Give praise to everyone enjoying their life, no matter how expensive the gas prices are or how tall somebody's truck is. But he needs cowboy boots just to get down that ladder. I want to thank J.D. Har, the Associated Press. She interviewed me on reparations. It was about a sports show. When's that ever happened? She couldn't find anybody else that was lucid enough to talk about it. It was March 29th, 2023. She called me. I said, how'd you get my number? She said, we have our ways. I said, what made you call? She said, I heard you speak. And she wanted to get my thoughts on reparations. There was several task force meetings, and I spoke at several of them. And she said, she wanted to call me. Out of about 500 people, she chose Big C Sports. How did she know? At the same time, she asked me my thoughts on reparations. I said, reparations now, reparations forever. Just like President Abraham Lincoln. What were his thoughts on reparations? And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I love also giving some praise to the California Reparations Task Force. And I want to also just thank Reverend Tony Pierce, President and CEO of the National Black Wall Street Project, because reparations will happen. He has some inside information. We do appreciate that. It will happen between now and 2024, before the election, all fair and level. I want to thank California Reparations Task Force because it's the one I want to give the most praise to. God is something else. And I don't think any other sports show does this, but they talk about other people who don't get along for whatever reason. I want to thank the task force, Camila Moore. She's the chair, she's the president, she's the chair of the task force, and she focuses on reparative justice. Give her some praise. She's brilliant. Dr. Amos C. Brown, vice chair. He's brilliant. Give him some praise. The #1 senator in the United States of America, California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. Give him praise. He's responsible for name, image, and likeness. It helps every college player get paid. You know, he's also responsible for the task force and passing reparations. And our young brethren, no one gives him credit yet. Oh, they like trying to get the money with name, image, and likeness, but he's also trying to get everybody paid based on what Abraham Lincoln said. He deserves a lot of praise, and I'm going to make sure he gets praise on Big C Sports as I had a conversation with him, and that makes sense to him. And then Council Member Monica Montgomery Steppe. She's brilliant. I want to give her some praise. Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I want to give him some praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. Also, Attorney Lisa Holder, talking to her. She's brilliant. I want to give her some praise. I want to praise Dr. Devon Scott Lewis. He's a professor at California, Berkeley. He's brilliant. I want to give him praise. And then also Attorney Donald K. Tamaki of the California Reparations Task Force. He's brilliant. I want to give him praise. Give them all praise. They're trying to get you paid. And I think I'm the only one talking about it. And I don't know what's in the Kool-Aid, but a lot of people but they don't talk about the people that are trying to put money in their pocket because it's due. I think President Biden today, I'm gonna just say what I heard. I haven't verified it yet, but I think it comes from a pretty reliable source, and it's important because I think President Biden, he's asking Congress for $100 billion for Israel and Ukraine as we're breathing. At the same time, the people that put President Biden in office called Black Americans descendants of chattel slavery. And I know that has to be his next announcement. Imagine if Israel and the Ukraine were not asking for help. You think they would get it? Probably not. And that's why I'm asking our brethren, especially our black brethren, to ask for reparations. Because it's in Congress as we speak. Don't blame President Biden for not making the announcement yet. Because when he sees us on TV, all we're talking about is touchdown, home run, 3-point play. Oh man, Willie, he's going all the way. I got to make sure that we do our part. I want to thank Double O, a chairperson with the National Black Wall Street Project. She sent me an article called Executive Order 13985, and that was signed by President Biden, one of his first executive orders in office. He signed it, but he can't get any black folks to believe in him or to even opine it. Executive Order on further advancing racial equity and support. Racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. By the authority vested in me as President of the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered as follows. On his first day in office, he signed Executive Order 13985, advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That was January 20, 2021. I want to give that some praise, but I can't find other black Americans to do it outside of a few. I thank Double O for sending it over. Also want to praise Marco Rubio, Senator Marco Rubio out of Florida. And he and Rick Scott, they're making sure that Congress will restore the Holocaust survivors' rights to make sure that descendants of Holocaust get paid. Also, I want to thank Georgetown University because they've already pledged over $1 billion to just 272 families that help build Georgetown. You know, they can't find a lot of black folks that are willing to talk about it outside of Big C Sports. Most of the time they hear us on TV talking about the game. I'm not talking about practice, I'm talking about the game. It's a shame. I'm even going to talk about WNBA. I thought they would really pine for reparations. About 70% of the women in WNBA are black women. It's important. Double O also sent me, the chair with the National Black Wall Street Project, sent me an article from the United Nations. I've talked about it before, but faith comes by hearing. Sometimes people complain that Israel's getting $100 billion, Ukraine's getting $100 billion. They don't hear black Americans asking for it. We can't wait to see the kickoff. It says, by the United Nations, strong leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for people of African descent. That's the United Nations, September 19, 2023. Oh, Curry, you already said that before. That's right, and faith comes by hearing. Just like Israel said it before, and just like Ukraine said it before, and now President Biden's pledging to give them that kind of money. They didn't put him in office. Black Americans did. And on the 19th of September, 2023, the United Nations report is focused on reparatory justice for people of African descent. And we can't find many people outside of wanting to watch a game. It's a shame. The report to the United Nations General Assembly by the United States or United Nations Secretary General is set out a series of concrete steps for states and the international community to address the continued harm suffered by people of African descent. And that has to be known. I want to give the United Nations some praise because a lot of people don't talk about it. They just complain. I want to thank T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I want to give that some praise. Really do appreciate you. I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. Now I need $6 billion. And I wanted the nickels and dimes. And I don't want the $6 billion. I'm talking to the God of the universe, Yahweh, the Alpha, the Omega. Well, assalamu alaikum. I need that money. I want this. I'm telling you, I want the $6 billion. Why not? You just got somebody getting $100 billion. If that makes sense to you. President Biden, as many of us black Americans are saying, oh, he ain't doing nothing yet. In Congress, they're studying the reparations bill right now. And there's no one that can say we don't deserve it after all this task force have been through and to acknowledge what happened and the reasons that we deserve it. I'm just so impressed by it because we got to have that happen for us. Other people, no one's marching. No one said, oh, I don't want my tax dollars going up. If Israel is getting $100 billion, Ukraine's getting $100 billion, no one's complaining about tax dollars. Money's fiat currency anyway. I want to touch on something. Give me some praise for talking about that. I want to tell you, I love doing Big C Sports Podcast. It's so important to me. I was taught growing up, you either lead, follow, or get out of the way. Not to complain just for the sake of complaining. If you complain, you got to have a solution. And that's what I love about Big C Sports Podcast. I want to congratulate last night the WNBA, where the Las Vegas Aces, they beat the New York Liberty to win back-to-back championships of the universe. Give that some praise. Give it praise. Back-to-back. The Aces, they rallied past the Liberty in Game 4 to secure their second straight WNBA championship. I want to give those women some praise. Before the Las Vegas Aces, first game at the Barclays Center on Sunday against the New York Liberty, Becky Hammond said out loud what everybody already knew. Reparations now, reparations forever. But that's not what she said. She said what they knew or at least suspected. This team over here, Hammond said, referring to the heavily remade New York Liberty, was put together to take you out. They were the favorites to win this conference or this championship. But that didn't. But I still want to give the Aces some praise and the Liberty some praise for playing hard. But it was a reference to the frenzy free agency of last offseason that pushed the WNBA into its first super team era. And the Aces, a favorite to repeat, it did not take too kindly to the notion that a roster could be put together overnight to contend with them. But what I want to bring up, irrespective of the game, congratulations, Las Vegas. They were down as many as 12 points. And they won 70-69 by 1 point. And they won the series 3-1. It's so important to congratulate these women. I want to congratulate them for what they've done. Give them some praise. However, we're so missing the basket. WNBA basketball, 70% is made up of black women. No talk of reparations. None. There you go, Curry, talking about what people didn't do. If you recall the Me Too movement out of Hollywood, because that's what spawned it. The Me Too movement, mostly by white women. You know how it was everywhere on the news? Everywhere! You can hardly watch news without hearing the Me Too movement. And we give it praise. Those women shouldn't have to go through such indignity with impunity. And so the country stood up behind it. And many men who committed the crime, the court system made them pay. It made them pay up. But let me ask you this thought. If the Me Too movement got the country to focus on it and to repair the harm that happened to women all over this country, primarily Caucasian women, if the Me Too movement got the media behind it to repair the harm of what happened allegedly, in the news had it on TV almost every day. Slavery was not allegedly. And it's one thing to say lead, follow, and get out of the way, because I believe those women should have gotten their justice through the court, and it happened. Give the court system some praise. Give them praise. However, if we gave praise in TV time to the Me Too movement, what about reparations? In 2023, just over 70% of players in the Women's National Basketball Association, known as WNBA, they're black women or African American. Think about that. 70%. And many of them, they stood and they applauded the Me Too movement. They applauded when white women were standing up because they weren't covering black women. Media didn't show up for them. But when the white lady said that something happened to them, the Hollywood elite, oh, it happened to me too. The media covered it, and black women even stood up for it. However, knowing that reparations is in Congress as we are breathing, are you breathing? As you're breathing, as we're all breathing, it's in Congress right now. No one talks about it. Why not? When you think about the WNBA and its union decided to put Black Lives Matter and say her name as a slogan on warm-up gear and opening the weekend team uniforms. Black Lives Matter and say her name. But you know a name that's conspicuously absent they won't say? I'm championing black women and white men, but especially our black women. Reparations. Because that benefits descendants of child of slavery. Just like reparations for descendants of Holocaust. And I'm trying to get our black women and white women to stand up for reparations. And not be so quiet about it. But why don't they? Because when I think about it, Congress is talking about reparations right now. However, the billion-dollar sports leagues, they're scared to support what Abraham Lincoln taught and put in writing with reparations in the Emancipation Proclamation. I thought I would see our beautiful black women at least say, we deserve reparations. You put Black Lives Matter on the floor, on a uniform, on a shoe. If it matters, why won't you champion reparations? If black Americans are only 12% of the United States population, some say 13%, and the NBA is 80% black Americans. Black people are 12 to 13% of the United States population. And 80% of NBA players are dominated by black men. But these black men and black women in these leagues, they say nothing about reparations. Now, we say we love our ancestry, we love our grandparents, mom and dad, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents. We know the harms of slavery. It had to be much more egregious than the harms of the Me Too movement. Because the Me Too movement was just about as egregious as it was, or still is in some places. It's about sexual assault. And the media, give the media some praise for covering it. Give them praise for covering it. But that was mostly a white lady issue. Because when it was happening to black women, people say, oh, there you go again, Curry. They cover everybody. No, they don't. Because white women were not made slaves in the United States of America. They were not. But with sexual assault, it was on every TV station ad nauseum. And then the people that were accused had the chance to face their accuser in a court of law. In the courts. And now, when you look at what happened through slavery and Jim Crow, black women had to suffer that for nearly 4 centuries. 4! And it's in Congress right now, and people don't even talk about it. Not even our beautiful, intelligent black women. Who are they afraid of? When white women complained that they were assaulted, as horrific as that was, the news covered it. What do you think happened to black women during slavery? And then 100 years of Jim Crow. Being raped, seeing their husbands lynched, murdered, seeing their children sold out from under them, couldn't go to the law, couldn't prosecute, couldn't go to the media. And it's in Congress right now, and our black sisters say nothing. White ladies, when they get the allegation of sexual assault, it made all the news, all the newspaper, and all the TV and radio stations. They made it their breaking news out of Hollywood. And they talked about how people were alleging the Me Too. It happened to Me Too. It made all over the news. They were not murdering white women. They were not lynching these white ladies' husbands. They were not selling these white people's kids. These white ladies, they wouldn't say their kids were being sold off. They said none of that. Sexual assault is a crime. And the media covered it. If sexual assault is a crime, how much more of a crime is murder? How much more of a crime is lynching? Oh, Curry, you're getting pretty deep. No, why don't we go deep? Why don't we go deep? Because if you can get the whole country to turn an eye to what happened with sexual assault, it happened to black women too. It happened to Me Too. But on top of what happened to black women, that did not happen to white women. They saw their husbands being lynched. They saw their children being murdered, beaten, whipped, sold off. And now Congress is trying to repair it. You know, the WNBA, all they did was shut up and dribble. I'm a black man advocating for black women. The same way the white media advocates for white women. Because if the white-controlled media really cared as much about black women as they care about white women, why is the Me Too movement mostly white, gets the TV attention, the radio and newspaper attention? But the legacy of what happened to white ladies happened to black ladies too. Many didn't have the money to go to the newspaper and have them pay attention to it. Just like the Ebony Alert and the Amber Alert is treated differently. But I'm championing to our black brethren, men and women, and the decent white people too. If Congress is willing to discuss reparations, why not you? There could people that complain that Israel's getting $100 billion and Ukraine getting $100 billion. And we have a cause, but they're trying to get us money. And we say nothing. We can't wait to watch the game. Stand up for the kickoff. I just wonder, to me, I got a little bit of egg on my face because I didn't think I'd be the only one that talked about it. President Biden talks about it. He's a white man, put in office by the efforts of black Americans. And they can't even find black Americans to stand up and support a cause that our grandparents or parents, great-grandparents had to endure because of the slavery and the hatred from Jim Crow and racism. And they can't find anyone who looks like us to say anything. And they're trying to pass reparations as we are breathing. Are you breathing? Are you standing up for the kickoff? As we stand up for the kickoff. And I'm a little bit shocked because I thought we would stand up for ourselves more. But it seemed like we just been trained to shut up and dribble. Laura Inc., maybe she knew more than I knew about our own people. Because she told black men, she said, shut up and dribble. As offensive as that was, I think a lot of people listened to her. And that's a shame. But I'm different. I'm going to keep championing what I say, reparations now, reparations forever. That's my story. Let's get with it. Tonight we got some NFL football, and it is the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New Orleans Saints. Game already underway. The Jaguars, they're going to attempt to extend a streak and halt another streak. They get the week 7 of the 2023 NFL season started by visiting the New Orleans Saints. Who that say they're going to beat them Saints on Thursday Night Football? Jacksonville is 4-2, and they're coming off its third consecutive victory in a 37-20 triumph over Indianapolis, but has lost 4th straight overall meetings against the Saints. And all of his previous 3 contests in what's called the Big Easy, like the Big CZ, they call it the Big Easy. The Jaguars could be without quarterback Trevor Lawrence for the starter. I haven't seen it yet, but I don't think he's playing. They may try to sneak about that, but I don't think they should. Before this matchup, and the backup is questionable with a knee sprain. New Orleans, what they call Nolans down south, they're 3-3, and they've dropped 3 of his last 4 games after falling 2013 at Houston. So they're hanging in there close. They're playing strong, but they lost that game at Houston. Houston's pretty good right now. It was 2013, so it was a close game. And then kickoff happened at Caesars Superdome at 8:15 p.m. East Coast time, all friend level war. And at the same time, New Orleans is a 2-point favorite in the latest Saints versus Jaguar. And the over-under is 40.5 for you 800 gambler people. 80, think about it, 40.5 with you 800 gambler people. I think it's going to go over 40.5 just because both teams can score a lot of points, even though Lawrence is not playing tonight. Now, it'll probably go over 40.5, maybe even 50. But the Jaguars and Saints, they are a team that's been playing decent football this year, especially Jacksonville of late. And the Saints, they've been on a little bit of a slide, but I think they're going to get their groove back, especially without Trevor Lawrence in the house for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I look for New Orleans to win that game because the crowd is nuts, and they probably gave them a lot of that Southern cooking, and they're going to see if they can take it out on those Jaguars. So when you think about these two great teams, the New Orleans Saints are 0-4-1 against the spread as favorites this season. 0-4-1. And they're a 2.5-point favorite. I think they'll win. They'll cover the spread tonight because Trevor Lawrence is not playing. And then the Jaguars, they are 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 games. 7-3 against the spread, but they're underdogs. So they're saying that maybe they can cover the spread and lose it by a point. I think the Saints cover because New Orleans hasn't had much trouble in the all-time series with the Jaguars. They won 5 of the 7 meetings, including all 3 at home, because the dome, the echo that comes off of that roof of the dome is so loud, and Jacksonville being an outdoor stadium team, sometimes they have a hard time dealing with that. The Saints have won the last 4 matchups between both teams, most recently posting a 13-6 triumph at Jacksonville in 2019. And then New Orleans outgained the Jaguars 326-226 in that contest, with wide receiver Michael Thomas and running back Alvin Kamara making a combined 15 catches for 124 yards. And you think about Thomas, he's 30 years old, who set the NFL single-season record with 149 receptions that year, but appeared in only 10 games. At the same time, the Saints go marching in because they're in the dome. The crowd goes nuts. They go crazy about their football. Hopefully they'll start going crazy about reparations now. Reparations forever. The WNBA, I'm a bit disappointed because they did not get behind it. They talk about Black Lives Matter, and they let it get away. I thought it was a seminal moment that they could have even said what Congress is doing. They could have said we want to support Congress for considering passing of a reparations bill. The same way white women supported the Me Too movement. It was on TV every day. Radio, it was everywhere. And I want it to be the same thing for descendants of child slavery, but it's hard to find people who are brave. A lot of people talk a lot about how brave they are when they're behind closed doors, but you put a microphone in their face, and Laura Ingraham was right. When Laura Ingraham said, "Shut up!" I think a lot of people are afraid of Laura Ingraham because they shut up. I want to talk about something that's near and dear to me because I love the sports business, and it's a business that brings people together. But we have, I think it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, So a lot of athletes are wearing pink. The NFL's endorsing that, and I want to give that praise for trying to make sure that people are aware of the health of their bodies and go get their checkups. That's important. And then I want the same information put on reparations. It should be. Give that some praise. The NFL's most valuable teams as of 2023, I think they can do something about bridging that gap. And the Congress, the United Nations, Georgetown, California, the governor of California, they're all in the huddle for how to pass reparations to descendants of chattel slavery. And most of us don't even talk about it. This is Big C's thoughts for the NFL and the NBA's reparations plans. As the NBA is about to tip off in the regular season next week, the NFL is already underway, and they have at least put in racism on the back of the end zones. I want to give the NFL some praise for that. They could have done nothing. They could have done nothing. They could have done nothing. They could have said, we ain't said nothing. But there's some good people who are trying to do this. And that's why I can't understand if the powers that be, and what I'm going to talk about, and how much money the NFL has, and I want to bridge, this is Big C's thoughts. And I hope that, it don't even matter if other people catch on. I'm just talking to Congress with the help of the National Black Wall Street Project. It's Big C's thoughts on the NFL's and the NBA's reparations plans. They already started out with saying end racism, end racism, end racism. Give that some praise. They put it in writing. It's on the back of end zones. And I believe they can also help with funding Black Wall Street along with Congress. It takes all of us. That's what it says on the NFL end zone. Can you believe the Dallas Cowboys remain on top at a record $9 billion? Playing football. 75% of the league is black men. And it's thanks in part to a lucrative new television deal and stadium financing. The average value of each team is estimated at $5.1 billion. And when the league increases its debt limit, the billionaire owners will score even bigger. There are no black owners in the NFL. Only share owners. And Magic Johnson's one of them with the Washington Commanders. But the record $6.05 billion purchase of the Washington Commanders, that was in July, by a group led by Josh Harris, is 8% more than Forbes' valuation a year ago, and 30% more than the sale price of the Denver Broncos last August. He helped boost the average NFL team value by 14% over the past year to $5.1 billion. Now, people that say, well, we can't talk about politics in sports because it might make the Southern Confederates, it may make the Southern Confederates stop watching sports. Well, that's a lie. Because the NFL put in racism on the back of their end zones, and it's the number one sports league in the universe. NFL is. So whoever said we can't talk about this stuff, they're lying to you. The aggregate value of the entire league with 32 teams is about $163 billion. That's almost as much as the NBA and Major League Baseball combined. So for people that say we can't talk about race or politics because it might make the Southern Confederates stop watching the game. The Southern Confederates are not going to get that money back from the Emancipation Proclamation, the 40 acres. They're not giving it back. They kept all that appreciation of land and the compound interest. But you know who can give it back through executive order? Just pay out annuities to descendants of chattel slavery. Give that some praise. Nobody's saying give me the land that was stolen and given back to the KKK and the Southern Confederates through Andrew Johnson. But for anybody that says, oh, Big C, you talk too much politics. How's the NFL the most valuable league in the universe? And they put in racism on the back of their end zone. Not every white person is evil. In fact, there's a lot of white people in Congress that want to pass reparations. They just can't find enough black Americans to support them. The average team value of NFL 32 teams about $5.1 billion. NBA 30 teams about $2.86 billion. Major League Baseball 30 teams about $2.32 billion. And then soccer's top 30 teams about $2.17 billion. And then you look at Formula One racing, about 10 teams, about $1.8 billion. Indian Premier League, 10 teams, $1.04 billion. The NHL, 32 teams, about $1.03 billion. And Major League Soccer, 28 teams, about $579 million. So for anybody that says, oh, you can't talk politics around sports, it's going to make me turn off the TV. We're trying to get the Southern Confederates to stop watching. But whoever said that is a lie. You know why? I just told you. Because the NFL, thanks to a new, you know what new means? New, lucrative television deals and stadium financing. The average value of each team is up $5.1 billion. And when the league increases its debt limit, the billionaire owners will score even bigger. These billionaire owners have approved end racism on the back of the end zones of their stadiums. Because white people, too, the ones that are decent, not the Ku Klux Klan type, they're trying to pass reparations in Congress, and I want to give them praise. They just can't find enough of black Americans to stand up and support them. Because they're so afraid of Laura Ingraham when she said, "Shut up!" The number one league in the world is NFL football. And they put in racism on the back of their end zones, and they can't find any black folks to say, we support you. It's a shame. It's like someone throws you a birthday party. They put your name on the cake. Not only do you not show up, you don't even say thank you. They're begging black folks to wake up! Just to have the courage the size of the grain of a mustard seed. For anyone that says, oh, Big C, you talk too much about politics. The NFL, the number one sports league in the universe, they're put in racism on the back of their end zones. And they can't find black men with the balls to talk about it. Because they're thinking about what is Laura Ingraham going to do? If I start supporting Congress for reparations, what is Laura Ingraham going to do to me? They're afraid of that white lady. Because I didn't tell them to shut up. NAACP didn't tell them to shut up. But they're quiet too. Congress is trying to pass reparations right now. Right here, right now. You hardly hear a peep about it. You can't say this is Big C. But you look at the back of the NFL stadiums. They put in racism behind one goalpost. The other goalpost said it takes all of us. These are billionaire owners. And I know they get a bad rap about not hiring enough black men and enough black coaches and all that cronyism and nepotism. I know that's true too. And I'm not saying the Rooney Rule is disingenuous, but they're trying. But the most seminal moment in the history of the United States for black Americans was the Emancipation Proclamation. It didn't free slavery. The 13th Amendment freed slaves. But the Emancipation Proclamation gave us a promissory note. That 40 acres and a mule. You know, kids play football all over the country. They're even trying to get flag football to be in the Olympics. And they're trying to do the right thing. It's not just Big C. But I'm so vindicated because I heard from the knuckleheads. They say, Big C, you talk too much politics. And then the number one sports league in the universe, they're saying end racism, but they can't find enough black people to support them. A shame. It's a shame. Well, faith comes by hearing. I'm going to give you praise. At least Big C will support you. When you think about it, to make it easy to buy a team going forward, the NFL will very likely have to relax some of its stringent rules for future owners. League rules currently, they stipulate that a general partner must own at least 30% of a team, much stricter than the NBA's 15%, and Major League Baseball 15%, and NHL 20%. The NFL is going to increase its debt limit over the next several months. Currently, teams can have $600 million of debt. And a prospective buyer is permitted to have up to $1.1 billion of debt before the next team goes on the market. Those figures are going to increase to $1 billion and $1.5 billion, according to team owners who spoke with Forbes magazine, making it easier for a general partner to come up with 30%. The Homestead Act benefited white Americans, for the most part, the owners of sports franchises. And this is just sports, but this goes all over the world and all over the country as more and more people are interacting with each other. There are bigger piles of TV cash also headed the NFL's way, starting this season, making the debut even more affordable for other opportunities for people of color. The league now has 5 television deals that will kick in this season. When Amazon Thursday Night Football is playing tonight, the deal started in 2022. They're guaranteed to listen, folks, it's guaranteed to yield $1.25 billion. That's $125.5 billion. $125.5 billion through 2033. The actual amount of television money the NFL receives by 2033 will likely be considerably more than that, because the league has an option to extend this agreement with Disney into 2033, and the Sunday ticket, commercial rights, bars, sports bars, restaurants. They should generate at least another $1.4 billion by the end of 2029. Think about the TV deals in itself. You got Walt Disney with ESPN, ABC. You got Fox Sports with NFL Sunday. Paramount with CBS with NFL football. Comcast with Sunday Night Football. You have YouTube, Amazon Prime. These totals $125.5 billion. And for people that say we don't want to talk too much politics, the number one sports league in the universe, they stamp in racism on the back of their end zone. That's why I say just have the balls to put reparations now, reparations forever. Have the balls to do that. Don't be afraid of Laura Ingraham. The TV deals, when combined with the NFL salary cap of $208.6 million per team last season, it makes football the most scalable business in sports. It's number one! And hopefully they'll start championing reparations for descendants of child slavery. I want to make sure that I get that out there, because I wish that more TV networks would talk about reparations, because it helps the ancestry of all these wealthy athletes. And people can complain that the NFL is not doing enough for people of color, minority ownership. I don't even find black coaches talking about reparations. Why not? Going to have the balls to complain that we don't get a chance to get the interview, to even get a chance to be a coach on the team. And then the President of the United States is telling Congress to consider reparations now. And black men won't say nothing about it. That to me, maybe this is, don't be afraid of Laura Ingraham. Just follow Big C Sports. I'm one beautiful, intelligent black man, and I'm going to keep giving God praise and praise and more praise. And I'll close with this. For the people that think talking about politics is going to scare away the Ku Klux Klan and have them change the channel, you're wrong. They're buying it more, because decent people know that reparations are due. They just can't find enough black Americans willing to support them. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Hopefully that will change. It has to. You know, I want to tell you, the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones owns the Dallas Cowboys, a team now worth more than $9 billion. More than any other team in sports. The Dallas Cowboys generated $1.14 billion in revenue last season, as well as operating income earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization of $500 million Think about this. Jerry Jones is only 80 years old. And he wears cowboy boots too. Custom made. He's 80 years old. You know he was able to buy the Dallas Cowboys in 1989 for $150 million. He's getting his own Netflix docuseries. He bought them for $150 million. And now they're worth more than $9 billion. Imagine if black Americans were able to buy into sports teams that we operate and dominate 80% of the athletes, or at least 75%. There's just so much money in this business. I want people to just understand it's so powerful. We got to be a part of it. In reparations, maybe you don't have $150 million to buy sports teams, but reparations pledging between $1 and $5 billion for descendants of child slavery. Money's fiat currency. It's fiat currency. They can do it. And they're about to do it. And I want to give Congress praise. They just can't find enough black men and women to talk about it. Beyond the Cowboys increase, there were 4 teams that rose at least 20% in value, each as a result of stadium economics. The Tennessee Titans up 26% to $4.4 billion. And then you also have a good old boy team by the Las Vegas Raiders, a relatively new stadium in the hottest market in sports. That team pulled in over $90 million in ticket revenue last year. $90 million! The Raiders ranked in another $70 million plus, also a league high. All told, the Raiders are worth $6.2 billion! That's up 23% more than a year ago. You want to know why they left Oakland? The Miami Dolphins don't even sell out, but their increase is impressive, 24% in value, up to $5.7 billion. I mean, there's just so much to talk about. I don't have enough time in 1 hour to do it, but I want to give it praise. Reparations now, reparations forever. A lot of these men got their start when their generations ago or their family members got the Homestead Act. The United States government gave white people over $276 million. Actually, 276 million acres of land. Land is worth money. They told black Americans no. I want to thank my family legacy, my beautiful mother's side, my beautiful mama, beautiful, loving, kind woman, my great-grandmother, and then my great-granddaddy called him Pop. Beautiful, loving, kind man, my beautiful grandmother, Mud Deer. Beautiful, loving, kind woman, always making sure lots of love in the family and fruits in the belly. She was a seer, could oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, present, and future. My beautiful grandfather, Hezekiah, another wonderful person, a seer. And then my beautiful mama, the most beautiful person I've ever met, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program and a food program, always saying rise and shine, the best person I ever met in my life. On my father's side, my grandfather, Albert Curry, a pastor, had 3 churches, 2 gas stations, and he also owned 40 acres of land, like the Emancipation Proclamation. My beautiful grandmother side with my granddaddy with the 3 churches, the 2 gas stations. Also, she touched me on my forehead when I was 8 years old. I was going to get some cookies. And she said, there's something about your voice I love when you speak. It's amazing I'm speaking about reparations. They're in heaven looking down. I know they're proud. And then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that planes can fly high so we could all stay safe at night. And then my beautiful brother Todd, with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning. On top to speak, always saying go forward. My beautiful daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. Set up the very first interview for Big C Sports, and then went on from there to become the first time in the history of the NFL that they started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. I love Daisy with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust God. Isaiah, I'm telling you, 54:17. And then you can be anything you want to be. My beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College student, singer, very smart, erudite, a good man. Helped me save trees. I used to always look at newspapers for the stats on Big C Sports. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went up. I've been Googling ever since. Now on 29 platforms and then 4 TV platforms. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You'll see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. And now it's on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. I appreciate that very, very much because he's spoken into existence. He's spoken into existence before it happened. You can be anything you want to be. Isaiah 50:17, no weapon formed against you will prosper. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then Big C, with all that wealth and knowledge over the years, like my great-granddaddy coming out of that barn, always saying, you got to believe, saying, let's get ready to rumble. I love saying, welcome to the show. SB nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. That is painfully obvious curry. I have no three-way teleprompters, no producer in my ear. I do my show with my higher self. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I know that reparations is in the mouth of Congress as we breathe, and you have my vote if that makes sense to you. As I always tell you, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber. You can call Lyft. You can walk it off. You can sleep it off. But don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car when they've been drinking. The life you save may be your own or someone that you love. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, you know what time it is. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Houdini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly. You sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. Because all the talk of Big C Sports and reparations, it makes me wanna get up on my feet. If that makes sense to you. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to put up with that garbage on their own. You know anybody going through that garbage, pick up the phone and call 911. Because things change when the police show up. No man, woman, or child should ever have to put up with that crap. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, now you know what time it is. Let's all stand up for the kickoff and honor President Abraham Lincoln when he said, reparations now, reparations forever. Come on, people. They're talking about it in Congress right now as you're afraid to lift your voice and sing, reparations now, reparations forever. It's like the Black National Anthem is lift your voice and sing. Well, how about try singing this song? Reparations now, reparations forever. I thank you. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a super fantastic day.